At some point, it really did feel like things had changed. There was a moment when everything about this team looked right. The roster finally balanced, the energy fresh, the quarterback stepping into his own, and a coach who seemed to carry both the brains and the heart of a new era. Mike McDaniel had Miami believing again. You could feel it all over the city. The fans were alive, the stadium felt electric, and for once, it didn't feel like blind hope. It felt earned. It felt real. But somewhere along the way, it turned into the same familiar story that's haunted this franchise for years, and no one saw it coming until it was already too late. Now here we sit, deep into 2025, 4 years into McDaniel's run, and the promise that once burned so bright feels like nothing more than smoke. The Dolphins are 1-4, and the optimism that once defined this era has collapsed into something heavier, quieter, more painful. You can sense it in every word fans say, in the silence between plays, in the way the crowd celebrates early touchdowns, but never truly believes the lead will hold. Because deep down, everyone knows. Everyone's seen this movie before. McDaniel's era began with charm, with swagger, with the kind of energy that makes a city believe its football team is finally catching up to its dreams. He was young, creative, and fearless, the kind of coach who could make football fun again. But 4 years is a long time in the NFL, and when the losses start piling up, the fun turns into fatigue. The jokes hit different when the scoreboard keeps telling the same story. Somewhere between the clever press conferences and the early success, something got lost. The edge dulled. The rhythm faded. The spark that once made Miami one of the most exciting teams in the league flickered out, and all that's left is the cold truth that maybe this isn't working anymore. The signs have been there, scattered across seasons and Sundays like pieces of a broken mirror. Back in 2023, when everything still looked like it was trending upward, there was that Ravens game. Miami had the chance to prove it was for real, to lock up home field and make a statement that this was their year. Instead, they got punched in the mouth. Lamar Jackson tore through them like paper, and by halftime, the Dolphins looked stunned, lost, exposed. That game didn't just hurt in the standings, it hurt in the soul. It showed the cracks, the softness, the fragility that always seems to appear just when this team is supposed to rise. You could almost feel something shift that day, like belief itself had taken a hit it might never recover from. And then, almost 2 years later, here we are again, still watching the same story unfold in slightly different colors. Week 5 of 2025, a game against the one-win Panthers, was supposed to be the bounce back, the start of a slow climb out of an ugly 0-3 hole. For a while, it even looked like it. Miami jumped out to a 17-0 lead, the kind that should have buried a struggling team early. The offense clicked, the defense was flying around, and for one fleeting moment, it looked like maybe the old spark had come back. But it never lasts long, does it? 5 straight punts, missed tackles, defensive breakdowns that made Bryce Young look like an MVP. A 17-point lead evaporated into a nightmare. The Panthers ran all over Miami, chewing up clock, chewing up confidence, and eventually taking the lead. Still, when Tua hit Waddle for that 46-yard touchdown late in the fourth, there was a heartbeat again. For a second, the dream came back. The Dolphins were about to save their season. But that hope lasted less than 2 minutes. Carolina marched right down the field and took it away. Another blown lead, another game gone, another week of questions no one has answers for. The thing is, none of this started now. The signs have been there since the very first whistle of this season. Opening day against the Colts was supposed to be an easy one, the kind of game that helps a team find its rhythm early. Instead, it was a disaster. Daniel Jones carved them up, and the Dolphins couldn't stop anything. The Colts scored on every single possession. It was like watching a team forget how to play. Tua looked lost, the defense looked invisible, and by the time Miami found the end zone, the game had long been over. 30-0 before anyone could blink. It was more than a bad loss. It was a tone setter. It told the truth before anyone was ready to admit it. This team wasn't ready. Not mentally, not physically, not structurally. But if there's one game that truly captures everything that's gone wrong in this era, it might still be that night against the Titans back in 2023. Miami was flying high, sitting at 9-3, with the division all but locked up and the playoffs within reach. Hosting a 4-8 team on Monday night should have been routine. Up 27-13 with under 5 minutes to play. It felt done. The crowd relaxed. The team smiled. The cameras caught McDaniel laughing on the sideline. Then it all fell apart. 2 touchdowns in less than 3 minutes. A defense that folded. An offense that froze. The Dolphins went from certain victory to another gut punch. Another painful reminder that for all the talent and flash, they still didn't know how to finish. That was the beginning of the slide, even if nobody wanted to call it that then. Since that night, the record says 11-17. The numbers tell one story. The feeling tells another. Even the close calls, like that home finale against the Bills in 2023, carry the same weight. One win would have sealed the division, maybe changed everything. Instead, penalties, special teams errors, and another fourth-quarter collapse sent the Dolphins spiraling again. It's not just that they lose, it's how they lose. The moments that matter most always seem to expose them. There's a pattern now. They rise, they flash, they fade. It's predictable in the worst possible way. And the excuses? They've worn thin. Injuries, weather, officiating, bad luck, all of it's been said before. The truth is simpler and harder to face. This team isn't tough enough. Not in the trenches, not in the moments that define seasons. The offense that once felt unstoppable now looks one-dimensional. The defense, rebuilt and reshaped, keeps bending and breaking when it counts. The front office keeps preaching patience while the fans keep losing it. You can only sell hope for so long before people stop buying. It's hard to say exactly when the belief vanished. Maybe it was after that Ravens loss. Maybe it was when Carolina ran through them last Sunday. Maybe it was somewhere in between, buried beneath a pile of wasted potential and almosts. But it's gone now. That collective confidence that made the McDaniel era feel different. The locker room still says the right things. The players still echo the same optimism. But it doesn't sound the same anymore. It sounds practiced. It sounds tired. This was supposed to be the window. The years of rebuilding, of collecting speed and youth and creativity, were meant to lead to something. Instead, the Dolphins feel stuck again. Not terrible, just trapped in the middle. Too good to tear down. Not good enough to contend. It's the most painful place to be in sports. Stagnation disguised as progress. McDaniel still carries himself like he believes it can be fixed. Maybe he has to. Maybe that's the only way to survive in a job like this. But you can feel the weight pressing down. Every press conference feels heavier. Every loss sounds like a repeat. There's only so many ways to say, "We have to be better," before those words lose all meaning. The city is restless again. The fans who once chanted his name now scroll through their phones during the fourth quarter. The same questions are starting to echo again about the coach, the quarterback, the front office, the direction. Nobody wants another rebuild, but deep down, everyone knows that's where this road is heading. Because when a team loses its identity, there's no shortcut back. You have to start over. Again. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. Not that it failed, but that it failed so predictably. The Dolphins didn't implode spectacularly. They just faded, like so many versions of this franchise have before. The energy of 2022, the excitement of 2023, the fragile hope that lingered into 2024, all of it slowly drained away until nothing was left but this. A team going through the motions, led by a coach who once seemed untouchable, now searching for answers in the same empty spaces that swallowed all the others. You can almost hear it in the silence after games now. That quiet acceptance that this isn't working, that the change everyone feared is coming, and that maybe, once again, the Dolphins will have to start from scratch. The fans still hope, because that's what fans do. But it's not the same kind of hope anymore. It's softer, cautious, the kind that waits for proof instead of promises. There was a time when it felt like Miami had finally broken free from its past. Now, it feels like the past has caught up, pulled everything back down, and left the team standing in the same old place, staring at the same old questions. What happened? How did it slip away? When does it ever really change? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's the hardest truth of all.